Hello everyone and welcome to my The Young and the Restless official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, March 3rd indicate that Claire Newman and Kyle Abbott will discuss what's next, while Kane Ashby and Phyllis Summers let their conflict spiral out of control. Since Victor Newman is refusing to surrender Lily Winters and the twins, Kane will intensify his efforts to put Newman Enterprises back in his hands. That means going back to Phyllis Summers and trying to bargain with her. Kane will have a proposition for Phyllis to mull over, but his plan won't pay off in the end. Although Kane will think he's got something worth trading for Newman, Phyllis will dig her heels in. What starts out as a fairly calm conversation may escalate to a shouting match soon enough. Kane and Phyllis will trade fierce warnings, so their feud will escalate in a big way. Other Y and R spoilers say Sharon Newman will put Daniel Romalotti Jr. through a grilling session. Since Daniel and Tessa Porter have formed such a strong connection, Sharon will have questions about where things stand between them. Daniel is more than just Tessa's friend at this point, so Sharon may acknowledge that she's picked up on that. Sharon may still be rooting for Tessa and Mariah to reunite, so she might urge Daniel to protect his heart in case he loses Tessa in the end. As for Claire and Kyle, they'll get truthful about the state of their own relationship. Kyle ultimately couldn't wait around on Claire anymore and pushed her away, but now they're drifting back together and becoming more friendly. Following Claire's admission that Holden Novak isn't an option anymore, Kyle may wonder if that changes anything for her. Kyle probably won't want to get his hopes up about a reunion, but he may think they need to be honest about their true feelings. Claire might admit she still thinks about Kyle and considers what might have been. Although Claire can't predict what the future holds, she might confess that she's keeping an open mind and question if Kyle feels that way too. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Kyle and Claire may still have a future together, so stick with us for more news on whether their love lives will intertwine again. In the heart of Genoa City, where power is currency and love is always complicated, Tuesday's episode of The Young and the Restless promises emotional confrontations that could change everything. The tension begins at Newman Enterprises, a kingdom built on ambition, loyalty, and ruthless strategy. And at the center of it all stands Victor Newman, immovable as ever. He's made it clear he will not surrender Lily Winters or the twins, not now, not ever. And that refusal lights a fire under Kane Ashby that refuses to die. Kane isn't backing down. If anything, Victor's resistance only strengthens his resolve. He wants Newman Enterprises back in his hands, and he's prepared to fight for it strategically, relentlessly, and perhaps recklessly. And that fight leads him straight to one woman who has never been easy to sway, Phyllis Summers. When Kane approaches Phyllis, the air between them is thick with history, betrayals, alliances, power plays. At first, their conversation is deceptively calm, measured words, controlled tones, but beneath the surface, sparks are flying. Kane comes armed with a proposition, something he believes is valuable enough to bargain with. He thinks he has leverage. He thinks he has something worth trading for Newman. Phyllis listens. She always listens. But the more Kane explains his plan, the clearer it becomes. She's not impressed. Phyllis Summers doesn't bend easily, especially not when she senses manipulation. And as Kane lays out his proposal, confident that he's holding the winning card, Phyllis digs in her heels, her expression hardens, her voice sharpens. She's not buying what he's selling. What starts as a business discussion quickly ignites into something far more volatile. Voices rise, warnings are thrown like daggers. Kane insists he has what she needs. Phyllis fires back that he's overestimating his position. The room crackles with hostility as their rivalry spirals. This isn't just about a company anymore. It's about pride, control, and the refusal to be outplayed. By the time the dust settles, it's clear. This feud has escalated in a big way, and neither of them is walking away unscathed. Meanwhile, across town, a very different kind of confrontation is unfolding, one rooted not in business but in matters of the heart. Sharon Newman has questions. She's been watching closely and she's noticed something undeniable. Daniel Romalotti Jr. and Tessa Porter have grown close. Very close. What began as friendship has shifted into something deeper, more complicated, more dangerous, and Sharon isn't about to ignore it. She sits Daniel down for a serious conversation, one that feels less like a casual chat and more like a quiet interrogation. Sharon doesn't waste time dancing around the issue. She asks him directly where things stand between him and Tessa. Daniel can't deny it anymore. Tessa is more than a friend. Sharon sees it, she feels it, but her heart is still tangled in hope. Hope that Tessa and Mariah might find their way back to each other. That history isn't so easily erased, that love doesn't just vanish. With gentle but firm concern, Sharon may urge Daniel to guard his heart, because if Tessa and Mariah reunite, Daniel could be the one left devastated. Sharon isn't attacking him, she's protecting him, trying to spare him from a heartbreak she sees coming from miles away. The warning lingers in the air, and Daniel is left to wonder whether he's walking into something beautiful or something that could shatter him. Then we turn to another relationship standing at a crossroads, Claire Newman and Kyle Abbott. There was a time when their love felt unstoppable, but timing, cruel, frustrating timing, tore them apart. Kyle couldn't keep waiting. Claire couldn't give him what he needed, and so he pushed her away. Now fate seems to be pulling them slowly back toward each other. They've grown friendlier, more open, the sharp edges between them have softened. And after Claire admits that Holden Novak is no longer an option, that whatever possibility existed there has faded, Kyle can't help but wonder, does this change things? He tries to temper his expectations. He doesn't want to get hurt again. But something in Claire's honesty stirs hope. He thought he'd buried. Maybe it's time they stop pretending. Maybe it's time they admit the truth. Kyle may confess that he doesn't want to misread the signals, that he needs clarity. And Claire, vulnerable but sincere, might reveal something she's been carrying quietly. She still thinks about him. She still wonders what might have been if circumstances had been different. She doesn't claim to know the future. She can't promise where life will take her. But she does confess one thing. She's keeping an open mind. And then she turns the question back to him. Is he? It's a fragile moment, one filled with possibility but also risk. Because once feelings are spoken aloud, there's no pretending they don't exist. The spark between Kyle and Claire hasn't disappeared. It's been waiting, simmering beneath the surface, patient and unresolved. And now, as they stand face to face, honesty hanging in the balance, it feels like the beginning of something or the last chance to reclaim what they lost. The future of their love remains uncertain. But one thing is clear, the story isn't over. As alliances fracture, hearts are tested, and old flames flicker back to life, Genoa City once again proves that power struggles and romance are never far apart. Every decision carries consequences. Every conversation could change everything. And on Tuesday's episode of The Young and the Restless, emotions run high, tempers explode, and love, fragile, complicated love, dares to hope again. Stay tuned, and as the dust begins to settle from these emotional collisions, Genoa City holds its breath because the aftershocks are only just beginning. Back in the aftermath of that explosive confrontation, Kane Ashby doesn't walk away quietly. No, he walks away simmering. Phyllis Summers may have shut him down, may have rejected his proposition without a second thought, but Kane isn't a man who retreats at the first sign of resistance. If anything, her refusal fuels him. He truly believed he had something worth trading, something powerful enough to shift the balance at Newman Enterprises. And now, being dismissed so firmly, it stings. But with Phyllis, pride is everything. She stands alone after Kane storms off, her jaw tight, her mind racing. She knows Kane underestimated her, assumed she'd see his offer as an opportunity. But Phyllis doesn't follow someone else's blueprint. She writes her own, and if Kane thinks this feud is over, he's wrong. Very wrong. Because when Phyllis digs in, she digs deep. Meanwhile, the tension surrounding Victor Newman's refusal to surrender Lily Winters and the twins continues to ripple outward. Victor's stance isn't just a personal decision, it's a declaration of war. And Cain knows it. That refusal forces him to intensify his strategy, to rethink his next move. If bargaining won't work, then something stronger might be required. The battle for Newman Enterprises isn't cooling down, it's heating up. And across town, in a quieter but no less intense corner of Genoa City, Daniel Romalotti Jr. sits with Sharon Newman's warning echoing in his mind. Protect your heart, it's easier said than done, because what he feels for Tessa Porter isn't casual anymore. It's real, it's layered, it's grown slowly and unexpectedly into something neither of them may have fully planned for. Their connection didn't begin with fireworks, it began with understanding. Shared moments, quiet conversations, a bond that deepened almost without them realizing it. But Sharon's words carry weight. She's seen too much in this town. Too many reunions, too many heartbreaks, and she can't ignore the history between Tessa and Mariah. That love was once powerful, passionate, unbreakable, or so it seemed. Sharon's concern isn't rooted in judgment, it's rooted in fear. Fear that Daniel is stepping into a story that hasn't finished writing its previous chapter. And Daniel knows she might be right, because even as his feelings grow stronger, there's an uncertainty he can't shake. What if Tessa's heart still belongs elsewhere? What if this connection he treasures becomes collateral damage in someone else's reunion? Yet love doesn't pause for what if, and neither does hope. Then there's Claire Newman and Kyle Abbott, standing delicately on the edge of something fragile and familiar. The conversation between them lingers long after the words are spoken. Kyle had reached his breaking point once before. He couldn't wait forever. He needed certainty, and when Claire couldn't give it, he pulled away to protect himself. It was painful, necessary, but painful. Now, sitting across from her, hearing her admit that Holden Novak is no longer in the picture, something shifts inside him. He doesn't want to assume, he doesn't want to misinterpret kindness for longing. But when Claire confesses that she still thinks about him, that she still imagines what might have been, the walls around his heart begin to crack. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it's quiet, vulnerable, real. Claire doesn't promise forever, she doesn't pretend to have clarity about the future. But she does admit she's keeping an open mind, that she's no longer closing the door on possibilities. And when she asks Kyle if he feels the same, the question hangs between them like a heartbeat, because answering it means risking everything again. The air is thick with unfinished emotion, memories of laughter, of closeness, of dreams they once shared. Neither of them is the same person they were before. They've grown, they've hurt, they've learned. But the connection, it's still there. Subtle, persistent, unresolved. There's no dramatic kiss, no sweeping declaration. Not yet. Just two people facing the truth that their story may not be over after all. And in Genoa City, that kind of realization can change everything. As Tuesday's episode unfolds, the lines between love and loyalty, ambition and obsession, protection and possession all blur together. Cain's determination hardens into something more dangerous. Phyllis sharpens her defenses. Sharon braces for potential heartbreak. Daniel weighs his risks. Claire and Kyle cautiously step toward a possibility neither fully buried. Every conversation plants a seed. Every confrontation draws a battle line. And every whispered confession carries the power to rewrite the future. Because in this town, nothing stays buried forever. Not grudges, not ambition, and certainly not love. The question isn't whether things will change. The question is who will be ready when they do. And just when it feels like Genoa City's emotional landscape couldn't be more charged, the ripples of these choices begin colliding in ways no one could fully anticipate. Because in this town, nothing exists in isolation. Every move, every word, every glance has consequences. Some immediate, some delayed, and some that hit like a storm you never saw coming. Back at Newman Enterprises, Cain Ashby's mind is already racing. Phyllis may have rejected his proposition, but failure isn't in his nature. The fire in his chest grows, not just because of Newman Enterprises, but because of pride. He has invested so much his plans, his energy, and his belief that he could restore balance to what was once his. And being dismissed so firmly, it fuels him further. Yet Phyllis Summers doesn't underestimate lightly. She knows Kane's mind, the way he calculates, the way he plays, and she knows that even a calm exterior can hide an explosion underneath. Her sharp, steely confidence is more than just arrogance, it's survival. Every word, every hesitation, every reaction is measured, because in her world, giving ground too early can cost everything. And that's the dangerous thing about power plays in Genoa City. Even the smallest misstep can trigger a cascade. Kane's frustration simmers, Phyllis's vigilance tightens, and somewhere in between an inevitable clash looms, one that promises to burn brighter than either anticipates. Meanwhile, Daniel Romalotti Jr. can't escape the weight of Sharon Newman's warning. He's aware that he's crossing uncharted territory. Tessa Porter isn't just a friend anymore. Their bond is layered with unspoken truths, quiet care, and tender vulnerability. Every smile, every shared glance, every late-night conversation has added a thread to a tapestry that's becoming impossible to ignore. But Sharon's voice lingers in his mind. Protect your heart. It's a protective warning, a voice of experience that he respects, yet it's also a reminder of how delicate these moments are. Tessa's past with Mariah is a shadow that stretches longer than Daniel can fully confront. He knows that even the strongest connection can be tested by history and timing. And yet the heart doesn't follow logic. It doesn't pause for what-ifs. It moves forward quietly, urgently, courageously. Daniel feels that pull, that invisible tug towards something real and fragile, something worth the risk. Across town, the emotional tension between Claire Newman and Kyle Abbott continues to unfold like a slow-burning flame. Their past is littered with mistakes, misunderstandings, and choices made under pressure, moments that forced them apart even when their hearts resisted. Kyle had walked away before. He had to, but now, seeing Claire's honesty, feeling her openness, hearing her confession that she still wonders about what could have been, he can't help but reconsider everything. The careful walls he built to protect himself start to wobble. Claire, for her part, is courageous in a quieter way. She doesn't demand answers. She doesn't claim certainty. But she admits what she feels, acknowledges the possibility of rekindled love, and opens the door, just a crack, for something that might grow again. And when she asks Kyle if he feels the same, the pause is loaded with tension, memory, and hope. It's a moment that could go many ways. A pause pregnant with the weight of their shared history, their regrets, and the love that still lingers beneath the surface. Genoa City's drama isn't just about business deals or whispered confessions. It's about timing, choices, and the fragile balance between what we want and what we think we can have. Tuesday's episode reminds us that even when power seems absolute and even when hearts are cautious, emotions have a way of breaking through, relentless, unyielding, and unforgettable. As the episode closes, viewers are left with a city teeming with tension. Kane planning his next move, Phyllis standing unshaken, Sharon preparing for heartbreak she fears, Daniel confronting feelings he can't ignore, and Claire and Kyle daring to imagine a future that might still be possible. In The Young and the Restless, every word, every glance, every heartbeat matters. And on Tuesday, Genoa City proves once again that when hearts collide with ambition, when truth meets stubborn pride, the results are never simple but always captivating. This is a city where nothing stays hidden, no one stays in their lane, and love, well, love always finds a way to test even the strongest wills. Tuesday promises confrontation, confession, and the fragile spark of hope that keeps viewers glued, because in Genoa City, even amidst chaos, the heart is never silent.